time one has faced two. Carolina has won 15 in a row against ranked opponents, and now they come here on the road and try to keep this Maples crowd quiet. The opening tip is controlled by Stanford, and we are underway in Palo Alto.
Look for both of these teams to play most of this game in a man-to-man defense. South Carolina will pressure, great counter to go high-low, but unable to convert.
Kiki Iriafen can't finish on the offensive end. Now Stanford will settle in defensively against the starting five, which features starting at point Kiera Fletcher for the second straight game. The veteran grad transfer, and South Carolina goes inside.
How about Aaliyah Boston just overpowering, catches at the high post, drives right in and scores.
Here is the starting five for Stanford. Both these teams will use a lot of players in this game. It'll be interesting to see how the rotations settle out in this 1-versus-2 showdown. Off the miss, here's Bree Beal. Back to Victoria Saxton for South Carolina. Beal looking inside for Saxton. Carolina tries it from outside. Fletcher misses the three. And, of course, Hall of Famers on the sidelines. Tara Vanderveer, #1 all-time, 1,162 career victories. And Dawn Staley has won 2 national championships as South Carolina's head coach.
Then you see Fletcher picking up full court. That's going to be key for Stanford. Their point guards handling pressure.
It is a freshman point guard for Stanford, Talana Lopolo. Haley Jump, an elite shooter, and shows it right away.
One of the absolute best three-point shooters in the country, and that's such a quick trigger. Doesn't need much space. You saw her get it off there.
That is her 21st made three of the season. This is game number 6 for the Cardinal. Here comes the double on Boston, and she tries to fight against the double and ends up turning it over.
Last 2 possessions for Stanford. You saw the double team coming from Haley Jones. She will leave Kiera Fletcher. Last possession, Fletcher wasn't able to convert the shot, and here it turns into a turnover. Watch that matchup.
Almost turned into a triple team. There's Cameron Brink at 6'4", bringing some size as well. Brink walks. So we mentioned Dawn Staley, 15th season as South Carolina's head coach, played the toughest schedule in the country a season ago and knocked off every ranked opponent they faced last season en route to a national championship. 14-0 against ranked teams. They took on Maryland this year, a ranked opponent. This is game number 2 against the team in the top 25. Zia Cook has been the leading scorer for South Carolina in their first 3 games. Boston, good job by Iriafen defensively. And here's Cameron Brink with a step on the field. Fletcher aggressively at Jones, gets her miss. Saxton. Nice little touch by the veteran for South Carolina, Victoria Saxton, her first 2.
South Carolina is so good getting the ball into the post, whether it's on the drive by Boston or direct entry inside. Score so many points in the paint.
Jones tried to feed it to Iriafen, and Saxton and Iriafen got tangled up. It'll be South Carolina basketball.
One thing you'll notice on the defensive end for Stanford is Cameron Brink is not guarding Aaliyah Boston. So a couple possessions ago, she's able to leak out and go the other way. Boston is guarding Brink, but Brink is guarding Saxton.
And remember, too, Tara Vanderveer says they want to run here today. That usually isn't a recipe for success against this South Carolina team, but Stanford, that's what they do. Fletcher left wide open to knock down the 2.
And that's by design for Stanford. They don't want her to be quite that open, but she is the player they are willing to leave when they need to help inside.
Jones, beautiful take for her first 2.
What a beautiful finish by Haley Jones. She shielded the defender by turning her back and finishing with her right hand on the left side.
There's Boston. Jones comes to help, and Boston threw it towards the backcourt. Good job by Beal to hold on to it. Plenty of time here for South Carolina to shoot, and Beal aggressively to the basket, rebounded by Jones. Here comes Stanford on the push. Brink was fouled by Saxton before the shot. What a beautiful drive by Haley Jones a moment ago.
She is really good off the drive, but see her come in. She's got a player on her left shoulder, so she turns and finishes with her right, where they're back to the baseline. That is a tough finish.
You know, Cameron Brink, as you see her there getting ready to battle against Camila Cardozo, Brink motivated to show better in this game than she did in the matchup last year in Columbia, which was won by South Carolina.
Both teams going to their bench. Brink now on Cardozo, and Prechtel, who has had some success defending Boston, is on her now.
Prechtel gets the defensive rebound. Raven Johnson has come into the game for South Carolina. She'll play the point. Redshirt freshman will shadow the true freshman, Lopolo. Jones. And last touch by South Carolina. It will be Stanford basketball.
This has been a great pace. This has been a great pace. And Stanford, every time they corral a defensive board, they are looking to push. They have players running the wings hard.
And it is tough to corral defensive boards against South Carolina. They are so good rebounding their own misses. There's Johnson. Zaya Cook works with the Boston screen. Can't hit. One and done. Boston tries to rip it away, and a foul is called on Aaliyah Boston. Great fight by Lopolo, the freshman from Alameda, giving up some size, and draws a foul.
It's so vital if you want to compete with South Carolina to get on the defensive glass, because you know Aaliyah Boston's going to be hitting it as well.
That is definitely him.
Dude, that's just a guy taking a little break with a peppermint frost.
A tough miss, a good make. We are going to see Raven Johnson come in this game now. She's a little speedier, got great defensive hands, and can steal the basketball. But how does she play in this atmosphere? And then for Stanford, Haley Jones put it in. Shalana Lopolo, Tara Vanderbilt calls her one of the best point guards she's ever signed here as a freshman, getting just her third start. How will she settle into this game?
And because both teams like to put some pressure on the point guard at times, though that position is so important, so valuable to take care of the basketball.
Letitia Amie here into the game for South Carolina. Gamecocks turn it over.
That was a great set coming out of the timeout for Stanford last possession.
Brink for three. Third this season, 25th of her career. We talked about the struggles when Stanford lost at South Carolina last November. 3 points on 1 of 7 shooting, and she has put Stanford in front by 6 here in the first. Reveal for three. This is the difference maker for South Carolina. They are #1. They're a great team. If they are a good three-point shooting team, that takes away one of their perceived weaknesses.
And if Reveal is a good three-point shooter, which she has been so far this season, had not been earlier in her career. But Stanford not leaving her. She just got a good look at it that last possession.
South Carolina was 7 of 12 from outside the three-point line in the win against Clemson on Thursday. Knocked out of bounds. It'll stay with Stanford. Tonight, big men's basketball showdown. First ever meeting between 4th-ranked Kentucky, 2nd-ranked Gonzaga. It will be in Spokane. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN and also on the app. Top 5 showdown there. Top 2 showdown here between South Carolina and the Cardinals. Lopolo made her first start against Portland last Sunday. There's Brink with an easy avenue for 2.
Aaliyah Boston had success defending Cameron Brink. It's going to be a little bit more challenging for Cardozo when Brink pulls her out to the perimeter.
Boston on the bench right now with 1 personal foul. Amie here. There's that size with Prechtel and Brink. Cardozo on the glass. And the freshman who's sticking her nose into tough spaces here comes up with the basketball for Stanford. Jones calls for the cut. Beautiful feed by Haley Jones. The finish on the foul by Brink. Cameron's parents, Michelle and Greg, love it. They had the front row seat. How about the dime from Jones?
What do you do with 6'7" defending you? You pull her out to the perimeter. The previous possession, we saw Brink hit the three-point shot. That time uses her quickness on the backdoor cut. But you were right. That was orchestrated by Haley Jones, telling her to go. Brink did, and it was delivered.
How has Haley Jones's role kind of changed a little bit heading into her final season with Stanford?
She's playing a little bit less of the point guard spot because she's got a freshman who's been handling that position well, playing a little more 2, 3, and 4. We've seen Haley Jones move all over the court, playing different positionally throughout the course of her career here at Stanford.
Raven Johnson tries a deep three. Aaliyah Boston back into the game for South Carolina. Again, one and done for South Carolina. And again to the basket. An easy take for two for Rapallo.
How about Stanford getting direct line drives into the paint against one of the best defensive teams in the country?
Boston called for the offensive foul. That's 2 on Aaliyah Boston.
Huge, because now Dawn Staley has to go to her bench. And it's been a big difference when Aaliyah Boston's been on the floor defensively and when she hasn't. And here just leads with the elbow. Prechtel with really good position straight up. Yeah, you have to call that. You know, when you throw the elbow out like that, that's going to be called an offensive foul.
So she goes to the bench with 2 in the first quarter. And Brink is just locked in.
And this time it doesn't matter. Now it's Saxton on her, but Brink's starting to feel it from the perimeter. You brought it up. She struggled a season ago in the matchup against South Carolina. She has come to play today.
9-0 run for Stanford. 9 of 14 from the floor so far. So let's see how South Carolina responds with their best player, the nation's top player, on the bench with 2 personal fouls. Shot clock down to 5. Cook, no. Again, great job on the glass by Stanford. And here come the Cardinals. Brink inside. Saxton, great job, but threw it off the backboard, and finally it heads out of bounds. Did it go off the back of the backboard?
The back of the backboard's out of bounds.
The only, from our angle, it looked like off the back of the backboard. Did it hit the corner? The padding of the backboard may have been the official's call. Could have been what Nicole Murray saw.
When Aaliyah Boston's not on the floor, the spacing for the rest of her teammates is different because the other bigs don't have to command the same type of double team and attention that Aaliyah Boston does. It is harder for the rest of her teammates when she's not on the floor.
One big key for Stanford would be hanging with South Carolina on the boards, where they're a +4 right now in rebounding margin. More than hanging, and they've limited second chance opportunities for South Carolina. Tough pass for Brink to get to, knocked away by Saxton.
Yeah, Prechtel's got to throw that out much higher.
Amihir, beautiful finish by Letitia Amihir for her first 2.
And that's where South Carolina thrives, is when they get turnovers and they can get out in transition. Amihir has really improved her ball handling over the course of her career as well.
And Brink's going to get called for the foul as she was tangled up with Saxton at the 3-point line.
It's been really physical between those 2 players throughout the course of this quarter since Saxton came in. And now Brink, a player who's prone to foul trouble, out of the game.
That is her first personal foul. That is the end of the first quarter, and the crowd will let you know what they thought about the first quarter. As Stanford had a 9-0 run, they lead by 10 after 1.
Very well. She's been dunking since she was in 5th grade. Of course, she won the Powerade Jam Fest. She has this skill, but I think it caught everyone by surprise that it happened in live action on a contested shot. That impressed everybody, shocked the world. Welcome to college basketball, Ashton Watkins.
And welcome to a sold-out crowd as Watkins turned it over. This is my favorite. Come for the dunk, stay for the bench mob.
Well, Fran Believe had dunked before, so there's a little bit more orchestrated. As Kiki here, Evan, resuscitate me. And then it's just pure joy on the South Carolina side.
Here is Iriafen. Matched up, and Watkins, great job defensively by the freshman to hold her ground.
Both teams now with much smaller lineups than we saw in that first quarter, as some players on the bench. Boston there because of foul trouble. Brink there just for rest.
Zaya Cook trying to get going. Can't find the basket. 0 for 4 so far. And a foul called in the background. Well, you may have noticed some special shirts being worn here today. We have seen it with Dawn Staley. You see it with Tara Vanderveer, with Brittany Griner shirts. You have one on as well. We've seen Dawn wear different shirts, trying to keep Brittany Griner in their thoughts, keep her at the front of the mind, as she was just assigned to a penal colony in Russia this past week. Holly, I know you've been following this story incredibly closely.
Were put together by the WNBA Players Association. Jane Appel Martinelli, who actually played here at Stanford, helping orchestrate that. We've all got one, and these are going to go on sale, and those proceeds are going to help for Brittany Griner and her legal fund. But all of us trying to get Brittany Griner home from her wrongful detainment in Russia. Very dire situation as she was moved to a penal colony this week, and everybody turning up the temperature to bring attention and awareness to getting Brittany home.
With the shot clock at 2, Beal tries from outside. Watkins on the glass, got caught in too deep, and Jones comes away for Stanford. Iriafen on the run, but a traveling violation called. No basket for Stanford.
Beautiful pass. That was a beautiful pass by Haley Jones. Iriafen just needed to take one dribble, and then she would be able to finish. But watch this right here. Jones, head is up, right between the defenders. Yeah, that's a walk. Now we get a chance to see the big freshman, the #1 recruit in the country, coming in. Lauren Betts for Stanford, number 51.
Defending Watkins at the free throw line right now. Saxton tries to go to work on Jones. Stepping out of bounds, he'll be Stanford basketball. Haley Jones has been elite on both ends of the floor so far.
And we're used to South Carolina being the best shot blocking team in the country. They lead the nation this year in blocks per game. They did a year ago. Stanford's 3rd in the country this year. This is also a tall, long group who can protect the paint.
Hit a school record 13 blocks in the game against South Carolina last year. Remember in that game, Stanford built up a big lead. They were up by 18. South Carolina came back at home to get the victory. Now South Carolina finds some scoring from their bench, and Bree Hall, who gets her first 2.
Once again, turnover to transition offense. South Carolina will thrive there.
Jones, good job by Beal, but then there's Betts for 2.
Betts is a finisher inside, and Stanford will look to go direct entry to her, or the last possession off the little pass. But at 6'7", it's tough to defend her.
Bree Hall was fouled heading to the free throw line. She'll head to the stripe, shoot a couple. So this is what happened last December. South Carolina went on a run, sparked by Destiny Henderson. In the second half, she had 13 points, 5 assists, 5 steals. Tara Vanderveer called her a one-woman press. She was the difference maker. South Carolina came back to win over Stanford.
She was absolutely elite in that game, and she was the reason that South Carolina won. And it was kind of foreshadowing to the national championship game when Destiny Henderson just came out and had a performance of a lifetime as well.
Bree Hall coming in and providing a spark for South Carolina. Here comes Amir back into the game as Bree Beal will check out. Lopolo brings it up against Fletcher for the Cardinal. Jones lost the handle. Amir's fired up right in Haley Jones's face as South Carolina claws back into it.
South Carolina makes their impact and makes the difference on the defensive end of the floor. That's where it starts. That's where it's always started at South Carolina since Dawn Staley has been at the head. And you've seen it in stretches here where they've been able to make those good plays and then come down and convert the other way.
Great takes it away from Hall. LaBolo, Brink, the extra pass to Betts for two.
It's the best I've ever seen Cameron Brink play. Cameron Brink is engaged. She's making the right decisions. She's been pretty smart on the defensive end of the floor and perfectly placed pass for Betts. Was that Brink's second to last time down the floor? Second foul?
Brink's got one.
Okay.
Oh, second, correct, second. So two on Brink. That's why she's heading out.
And that's been her issue throughout her career, is getting into foul trouble.
Watkins left alone on the glass and gets the putback.
Offensive boards for South Carolina.
That inside as Watkins gets whistled for the foul, trying to defend against the 6'7" freshman from Centennial, Colorado, Lauren Betts.
And she's so good when she catches the ball inside, so she's not out setting too many screens or in the flow too much. Stanford puts her on the block and they try to direct entry into her because once she catches it, she's finishing at a 70% clip.
Sanaya Fagan comes into the game for South Carolina. Betts defended well by Fagan, but she dribbled on the baseline and will stay with Stanford.
Yeah, great job by Fagan to fight around. That's what you're going to have to do, prevent the ball from going in, because once it does, it's money.
So South Carolina has erased big deficits before. Dawn Staley working the officials, keeping her team in the game. They were down 21-9 in that first quarter. And now look at it, 25-17, still down by 8. Watkins to the bench with 2. Boston went to the bench with 2:20 to go in the first quarter with 2 personal fouls. Prechtel. That's against Fagan. Traveling violation, turnover by Stanford. That's the 9th turnover already for the Cardinals.
And that was really good defense. Just make the bigger player, put her in a position where she's a little less comfortable. And when Betts was putting the ball on the floor, that's what happened.
Agnes Emma-Nopu is on the floor for Stanford. That almost found its way into the basket. Jones with the fake to get free for 2.
And me here was solid defensively all the way in until the Jones fake, and she bid on it, and then Jones was able to get the open look. You're South Carolina, though, you just want to weather the storm. Weather the storm with your player of the year on the bench, and they have done that so far.
Stanford the 3, Prechtel's got a rebound.
South Carolina only 17 points, but defensively, they've also held Stanford to 27. Again, weather the storm these last 5 minutes.
Sexton tried to take it away, but she gets called for the foul. That will get us to a timeout with 4:46 to go in the first half. Haley Jones, Aaliyah Boston, fierce rivals, fast friends, both can be true.
Lean on each other. They're across the country, but they talk almost every day. And Haley has said, who else can I talk to that understands exactly what I'm going through? Not only are they close, their families are close. I was on the same flight with Aaliyah's parents, and she said, Haley's mom's making arrangements to make sure we get our tickets, have a place to put our luggage. The families are close as well, and it's a beautiful sisterhood born in basketball.
Holly talking to Haley Jones yesterday about the matchup. She said, I can't wait. This just adds fuel to the fire. She said it's a personal rivalry. It's a team rivalry.
The South Carolina bench is doing all they can to stay within shouting distance of Haley Jones and Stanford. That's Fagan with the putback. And the bench has been good for the Gamecocks. They've got 10 of their 19 points, countered by Stanford on the other end. Eight points for Jones on 4 of 6 shooting, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. So foul called in a 10-point game with 3:56 to go here in quarter number 2. NFL returning to Mexico with our Week 11 Monday Night Football. In Mexico City, 49ers and Cardinals, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Our coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Well, you take a look at players who have made big improvements, and here's one for South Carolina. Sanaya Fagan at the free throw line, Brink on the bench with a couple of fouls. We talked about Boston on the bench with a couple of fouls. So if you look at the supporting cast, who's going to step up for South Carolina? Fagan could be one.
Amir has been really, really good, especially on the defensive end of the floor.
And checking in for South Carolina, Olivia Thompson, the senior, knocks down the 3. You talk about the bench stepping up for South Carolina. That is Exhibit A right there.
Olivia Thompson only averaging 7 minutes per game on the season in 2 games. What a great job by her to come in and drain that 3.
Brechtel can't get it inside. Great job on the glass by Emma Nopu. Ripped away. Fagan couldn't reach it. And it will be South Carolina basketball. To the studio, here's Kevin.
With Steph White and Andrea Carter. Eric, coming up at the half, we're going to run through a very busy day in women's hoops. 18 ranked teams in action. Coach, how is Stanford getting its points?
Well, Stanford's really doing a good job of spreading the floor, distributing the basketball. Everybody's getting a touch, but Cameron Brink went to the bench, and it was different.
Well, I was impressed with Stanford's defense, but South Carolina's gotten back into it by adding tempo offensively. They look better when they're running and playing fast.
By the way, Iowa in action. Caitlin Clark is in the lineup. Eric?
All right, plenty to talk about coming up at halftime. Thank you very much, Kevin. South Carolina was down by 12 in the first quarter. The South Carolina bench has come to play here in front of a sold-out crowd at Maples. Amir here on the drive had it knocked out of play.
We talked at the start of this game about Haley Jones and how she was going to play off defensively early in the first quarter, helping off of Fletcher to get inside on Aaliyah Boston. Same thing, Fletcher out on the perimeter. Haley Jones helping inside on Aaliyah Boston. So what has Dawn Staley done? She's put some more shooters in on the perimeter. Johnson's one. We saw Thompson hit the 3 earlier, pulling Stanford's defense out a little bit more.
All of a sudden, it's a 3-point game. Raven Johnson gets her first points. 5 bench players on the floor right now for South Carolina, and they are delivering for the #1 team in the nation.
South Carolina fans have to feel pretty good because they know they have an incredible senior class that's going to be graduating at the end of this year, and they've had some young players come in this game and really perform.
Amir here fighting inside, couldn't get it. There's Johnson who sticks with it and flips it up. A beautiful hoop by Raven Johnson to make it a 1-point game, a 9-0 run for South Carolina.
Punishing. South Carolina is punishing on the offensive glass.
Iriafen with the answer and one.
Against South Carolina, it's not the first shot that hurts you. It's the second or the third opportunity. How about here, your point guard getting into the mix, hitting a tough shot as she's falling down on the other end. Sophomore Iriafen so improved from a year ago, getting a finish to go down.
That was on Fagan. Second chance here off the miss, and Hannah jumped for 3. Big sequence. Iriafen couldn't finish the 3-point play, but it turns into a 5-point trip for Stanford. Amir here, nice move inside for 2.
She's been really aggressive. She's been South Carolina's most aggressive player on both ends of the floor.
Feels like she has set the level of intensity for South Carolina, and the teammates, especially this bench, have responded. Fagan gets called for the foul, battling on the block.
It's been fun to watch both ends of the floor inside, because offensively, defensively, when they're posting up, man, they are battling inside.
The top scorer for South Carolina, Zia Cook, watching from the bench. You see the points in the paint. Edge for Stanford. I think the biggest number right now is the bench points, Rebecca. When you take a look at what South Carolina's been able to do so far, outscoring Stanford 21-4 in bench points.
And these are two teams that early in this season have gone deep into their bench. Tara Vanderveer regularly plays 15, Dawn Staley 12. But certainly the bench for South Carolina has brought a different energy and been really good since they've been in the second quarter.
Let's be clear. The bench for South Carolina could start. They're that deep. Foul called on the Cardinal. You make a good point. When each team uses so many players, how did Tara Vanderveer put it? How she wants to use her team. It's like the old wrestling, professional wrestling tag team.
Yeah.
You know, you tag out, you go in, you play as hard as you can for a few minutes, and I think we're seeing that from both teams. And Olivia Thompson checks out of the game. She knocked down that three-pointer for South Carolina.
Yeah, really big minutes for Thompson.
So the foul on Iriafen, her first, and here is Amihere.
Letitia Emi here at 6'4". She can play point guard position. She can play post. She's been really active defensively. She's been aggressive on the offensive end. She's an impressive talent.
International experience with Team Canada. 4th place in Sydney at the Worlds. Lapolo, who's had a good first half. Trying to find Hannah Jump. Isaiah Cook denying her in the corner. Final minute, first half. Jones has it batted away. Another turnover. 11th for Stanford here in the first half. Cardozo. Prechtel with the rebound, and Stanford could hold for one.
Stanford should hold for one.
Well, the pace of this game was going. I had my doubts there for a second that Stanford would slam on the brakes.
Right, you're right. That's true. For Jones over the top on this cut.
Jones. Prechtel for three. Off the iron. Jones turns around. Good if it goes, but it misses the mark. That was an entertaining first half of basketball.
The pace we expected. Both teams going deep into their bench.
Boston left the first quarter with those two fouls with 2:20 to go. For South Carolina's point of view, here's Holly.
John Staley told me at halftime that they've just got to settle down. The bench did a great job, but the rest of the team, she wants them to just calm down and play basketball. Take what the defense gives you. She's also looking for them to get it into the post more efficiently, particularly when they're not double teamed there. And she said, Aaliyah Boston has just got to go to work here. 5 minutes in the first half, 2 points. They're going to let her play it out.
Kiki Iriafen goes to work. First points of the second half. Here is Fletcher, wide open look for two.
Interesting. One end of the floor, Stanford draws up a play for Haley Jones to attack the basket. The other end, screen and re-screen, knowing the defense is going under and getting Kira Fletcher a look early.
Fletcher now with 4. Talon Lapolo played very well, freshman at the point in the first half for Stanford. Here's Brink, who left with the 2 fouls, and now Iriafen draws a crowd tie-up. Possession arrow will give it to South Carolina.
Haley Jones played all 20 minutes in the first half. She's going to be the leader for them, handling the basketball a lot, one who's tasked with making decisions. And here, again, using the screen for Kira Fletcher to attack the basket. So that's Dawn Staley's counter to Stanford playing off of her.
Haley Jones gets called for the foul in the backcourt. That's her first.
A little bit, but a little bit is enough to get the foul called. So will South Carolina this time go back to Kira Fletcher, or will they try to pound it inside to their player of the year, Aaliyah Boston?
Another player South Carolina would love to get going is this player. Isaiah Cook was 0 for 4 from the field, and it's Fletcher again.
How about Kira Fletcher? All right, Stanford, you're not going to guard me. I'm going to come out in the second half and hit the first 3 shots.
Brink, defended by Boston.
I go right at Aaliyah Boston. She has 2 fouls. Get the ball into Brink. See if you can pick up a 3rd one early.
Here's Brink. She's got 2 personal fouls. She'll try to shoot over Boston and knock down the 3.
So what is Stanford going to do now with Fletcher? You got to come out a little bit closer the way she's been scoring the last couple of possessions.
Boston turns and scores. 4 points now for Leah Boston, held to 2 points, playing in just the first quarter and the first half. Jones, defended by Beal. Bolo will launch a deep 3 and make it. The freshman is having a day against #1. Opposite end is the mindset for South Carolina. Take it at Cameron Brink with the 2 personal fouls. Cook still looking for her first points. Jones goes with a long bounce. Beautiful pass. The finish by Hannah Jump. Saxton in deep against the double. Brink and Jones teaming up for the defense. Stanford ball.
Haley Jones at 6'1" is a terrific facilitator, especially in the open floor. Delivers the dime perfectly. Defenders both sides get it where only Jump can handle and finish. Wow, Haley Jones is so good passing in the open floor.
Stepping up in another big game. Holly.
Well, Haley Jones loves to model her game after a couple of key figures. Brianna Stewart is one, but Magic Johnson is another. If that didn't look like magic, a point forward, big, strong, but also with a little magic in her passing. She's watched video on him and loves his style.
Jump, step back 3, no. Raven Johnson back into the game, has the rebound for South Carolina. Ashton Prechtel defending Boston.
And Saxton and Brink, man, the last possession too, battling inside.
Great finish. Zaya Cook, her first points and 1.
It's been so incredibly physical inside, and then a little tiny, let's see, oh yeah, she got it, she certainly got it. And great take and finish by Zaya Cook.
You were ready to protest that call, I could just tell. You were building up a little bit.
It was just been so physical inside, but no, that's absolutely a foul. And a great take by Cook, the English that she got on that to get it to go in.
So 3 personal fouls now on Cameron Brink. She goes to the bench with 5:53 to go in the 3rd. Cook scoreless no more. 3-point play makes it a 5-point game. Jump. Not this time. Fran Believing into the game and gets the offensive rebound and a second chance and finds the cutting freshman who's a little too strong.
Oh, she had to see Prechtel wide open out on the right side.
Let's see if Cook's game gets going after making the basket. She looks to be a facilitator. 3 Beal can't hit. And Prechtel has got the rebound.
That was an incredible pass by Zaya Cook, going driving and then finding her shooter on the opposite side corner.
Somebody forgot about Haley Jones, who missed the open look.
And we're back to the pace that we liked from early in the first half.
Left, right, head on the swivel.
Unless you're sitting in the end zone.
Well, we aren't today. I'm just saying our head. It'd be like a bobblehead if you're in the end zone, yeah. Tipped away, and it'll be Stanford basketball. Get us to immediate timeout. So Cameron Brink with 15 points. She does have 3 fouls. Her Cardinal on top by 5. 3rd quarter here at Maples.
State, even on the offensive boards, they're out-rebounding South Carolina by 8, but South Carolina's doubled up Stanford's when it comes to turnovers. Stanford has 13 to South Carolina 6.
Yeah, there's a +8 on one end and a +7 on the other end when it comes to turnovers for South Carolina. Prechtel will try the three and make it. The three-point shot is there for Prechtel. That's the 6th three made by Stanford. Saxton hands it off to Cook, and Saxton gets called for the foul on the handoff.
Anytime the big is away from the basket and sets a moving screen, the officials see it and they call it.
Third personal on Saxton.
Even if you're rolling and they perceive the roll to be an offensive foul, they'll blow the whistle.
So 3 on Saxton, 3 on Brink. Polo trying to get back out to Beliebe. Good hustle by Prechtel. Keep it alive for the Cardinal. Into the hands of Jones against a great defender in Bree Beal. Beal versus Jones. Advantage. I was about to say South Carolina, but again on the glass, Beliebe keeps it alive and takes it away for Stanford.
Both of these teams have so much size and depth in their front court. Big after big after big coming into the game.
Shot clock again winds down. The freshman, Polo, comes up for 2.
She's been really good. This young freshman for Stanford has been really good.
Beliebe gets called for the foul.
It's a big game at home, and number 1 versus number 2. Your arena is sold out. First experience for this freshman, and she has not looked overwhelmed by any stretch.
Not
has made some really nice plays. Tara Vanderveer said at Pac-12 Media Day that she was the most college-ready freshman point guard that she's had in a really long time, and we're seeing that here today.
After 37-odd years at Stanford and 44 overall, she's had her share of point guards come through here who have had the opportunity, but she's delivering right now as a freshman, and she finds Hannah Jump. Can't make the 3, and a rebound for South Carolina. Johnson to Beal. Beal on the attack. She'll go to the free throw line.
South Carolina's been good. They've been able to get to the free throw line. They've been able to kind of get the pace that they want as they're pushing transition now. Kira Fletcher was so good in the first couple of minutes of this third quarter, but Raven Johnson has gotten the nod for much of it.
You wonder, too, both players, Johnson and Fletcher, who have been working at the point, they're both coming off of injuries, so you wonder if there's a managing of the minutes here for Fletcher, who missed all of last season at Georgia Tech with a foot injury, and Johnson, as you can see with the leg brace on, suffered a knee injury last year on November 12th, played just 8 minutes last season.
Yeah, that's certainly been a story so far early in the season for South Carolina.
And a illegal screen called on Beliebe. Foul against Stanford.
Third personal, number 5, Fran Beliebe. 15 foul.
This could have been a huge call on Aaliyah Boston. Fran Beliebe, wow. She's shifting her weight, and that's enough for the official to call the foul.
Get it right in front of Tara Vanderveer. You can tell she didn't agree with it.
They're pretty consistent, right? We saw it the last time or a couple possessions ago with Saxton.
Boston showing the range and rattles it in for 2.
You know, she's dangerous because if she catches the ball near the basket, you have to send a double team because you can't stop her. But you get her in that little short corner area, much more difficult to double team there, and she can face up and hit.
Polo through traffic. Not a lot of movement right now for Stanford. Jones will try to do a one-on-one against her friend Boston. Cardozo with the rebound.
She wasn't her friend on that possession, Eric.
in name only. Prechtel with the block. These are two elite shot-blocking teams. They have such great size, and Prechtel comes up with a block for the Cardinal. Beliebe, little shake of the shoulders. That won't drop. Prechtel an offensive rebound. Jones tries to spin it in, and she does for two.
She's been masterful around the rim. Using the rim to shield shot blockers from getting to her shot.
10 points now for Haley Jones. Boston backs in Prechtel, who spikes it down. Battle for the loose ball, a tie-up. Possession arrow will give it to Stanford. Ashton Prechtel with another block.
Ashton Prechtel is 6'5" and strong and long. She's got long arms, and so that's the kind of player that you need to go against Aaliyah Boston.
Letitia Mehier comes into the game. Bree Hall was trying to get into the game. That's why we have a pause to let her check in for Bree Beal.
And you see South Carolina extending their pressure. Watch, long, long arms. I mean, a beautiful block. Sometimes it's not just about size, it's about length as well, and she's got it.
Prechtel has been playing just 9 minutes a game, but Tara Vanderveer has seen that she can impact Aaliyah Boston with her length. She played 12 minutes in the first half, but came back and has played almost this entire second half so far in the third quarter. She has been a factor, not only defensively with those blocks, but on Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah having to step out and try to shoot over her. The addition of Prechtel here, more minutes for her, has been huge for Stanford.
And Holly, Tara Vanderveer told us coming into this game that Prechtel has had success defending Boston in the past.
Iriafen in deep. The previous foul was called on Raven Johnson. See, Letitia Mehier has come into the game. She had a good first half, good spark off the bench. That bench was great for South Carolina in the first half. Can they bring a spark for Dawn Staley here in the second half? Prechtel open. Can't get it. Iriafen kept it alive, but only for the moment. And here comes Raven Johnson. Johnson got it to Cardozo, and a foul is called on Mehier.
Cardozo ran the floor well. Johnson delivered the ball well. And then Prechtel was there again to contest the shot. I don't know if she got a piece of it, but she's a big reason why it didn't go in.
So we'll shoot free throws on the other end. Ashton Prechtel, if you remember during the 2021 title run, 16 points against Louisville in the Elite Eight, all in the second half, went 6 for 6 from the field. She has stepped up in big games during her career. So Mehier called for the foul, but we're going to bring it up here. No free throws. Shot clock is off. Iriafen, good up and under move. 4-2. It's a scary moment for everyone in Connecticut, and we give our very best to CD.
Absolutely.
10-point game as we start the fourth quarter. Mehier. Brink back out there with the 3 fouls. Cook, entry to Mehier, nowhere to go. Has to bring it back out. Hall, who was aggressive in the first half, keeps it going here in the fourth quarter.
Really good defense by Stanford. Taking away the paint, taking away Aaliyah Boston. And then Hall, with her quick first step, gets to the rim anyway.
All very good on defense, trying to make it difficult on Lopolo, 14 to shoot.
Just taking away the post. There's pressure there, and Mehier gets it out, and then watch Hall, her quick at the rim, contested player. He has a little bit of foul trouble as well.
Brink got caught in the air, and she's called for her 4th foul.
That's the next step for Cameron Brink, is to figure out how to stay on the floor. Because when she's been on the floor today, she's been brilliant. But she's been forced to spend too many minutes over on the bench because of fouls.
So Brink to the bench, 15 points for her today, along with 3 rebounds and an assist. Zaya Cook held scoreless in the first half, 6 in the second half.
And we've talked about points in the paint for both of these teams. And how has South Carolina gotten in the paint the last 2 possessions? Dribble penetration. It's not necessarily just getting it inside to your bigs.
Very often one-on-one against Boston. Jones and Beal matched up again. Jones for 3. Very often kept it alive. Ami here gets after it, but she gets called for the travel. Be Stanford basketball. Men's basketball, the 11th annual Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis starts on Wednesday. All quarterfinals air on ESPN2 starting at noon Eastern time. 21st ranked Dayton, 22nd ranked Tennessee, 6th ranked Kansas, all in the field in the Bahamas. Jump to trigger the inbound for Stanford. 8.5 to go, 4th quarter. Number 2 Cardinal have led since the first quarter. Their largest lead, 12.
Look at the pressure from South Carolina, forcing Stanford to catch the ball a couple feet behind the 3-point line.
LaPolo in trouble, almost got out of trouble, rolled off the rim, and Ami here's got a rebound. Well, the door, you can just feel it swinging open here, but then a turnover. LaPolo has it knocked away by Beal from behind. 3 on none the other way for Cook.
Disruptive. When South Carolina's at their best, they're disruptive defensively. We've seen it in the quarter court now as they pick up full. Difference is LaPolo's handled the full court pressure very well so far in this game. Something Stanford didn't necessarily have a season ago.
Couple of bench players on there right now, and they have made an impact. Hall and Ami here for South Carolina. Beal, tell she loves the challenge of this matchup with Jones. That rolls up. Ariaffin flies in for the rebound. Jones has it blocked. Here comes Carolina. Cook takes it at jump, who stood her ground. Numbers the other way for Stanford. Jones against Boston, who comes up with a defensive play and a foul called on Haley Jones.
I think Boston just saved her team because the rest of her teammates were still on the other side of half court. She saved an easy bucket and a swing of momentum right there.
Jones picks up her 2nd personal foul, so she goes to the bench with 2. Brink is on the bench with 3. And a timeout being called by South Carolina. Dawn Staley's team was down by 12 in the first half. It's a 4-point game in the 4th. In the first half, 8 points in the second half. South Carolina has been so good against ranked teams. Their last loss to a ranked opponent was to Stanford. We showed you that earlier in the national semifinal in 2021. Out of the timeout called by South Carolina. To Cook, Brechtel spikes it down, tiptoes on the baseline and keeps it in play. On the other end, Emma Nopu lost the handle, but then she makes up for it.
Now she needs to settle in, get her team over half court. There you go. Polo gets the ball, settles her team down.
Polo defended by Bree Hall. Will reset. Brechtel wanted to post up on Ami here, but Ami here saw it coming. On the run, she's got Boston with her. Does it herself, but can't finish. Emma Nopu got in there for the rebound.
Stanford guards have done a really good job, team and gang rebounding on the defensive end.
This time it results in a foul call on Ami here. So here comes Brink. She went to the bench with 9:12 to go here in the 4th quarter with her 4th personal foul. leading all scores with 15 points. Polo will check out. India Navarre, freshman out of North Carolina, comes on for the Cardinal.
Heather Jones now will bring the ball up against pressure. Lapolo did a terrific job getting the ball over half court all game.
Jump uses the Jones screen. She's gone cold, and a foul is called on Aaliyah Boston. That will be her third.
Leah Boston boxing out Cameron Brink strong, but threw her down with her offhand. It's been really, really physical inside. All game long it's been physical. And you see the shot go up, bottom of your screen, Aaliyah Boston right there. So he throws her down. It's the right call.
Two team fouls on each side here in the fourth. Brink will try from three. And a foul is going to be called on Bree Hall, who is trying to get position for the rebound.
Second personal, number 23, Bree Hall, 13 foul.
South Carolina players just trying to box out. I didn't get a good look on it there, but the officials certainly keeping their eye out on the rebounding.
Jones made the fake. Tough shot. And here is Navarre, who comes in for the rebound on the offensive glass and a second chance here, but the shot clock is now down to 4. Jones has to do it herself. Here with a great defensive play, and a shot clock violation will be South Carolina basketball.
Here is big, and she is long, and she is quick, and you just see solid defense, gets the length to block Haley Jones' shot. Amir has been really, really good. We said it in the first half. She continues to be a solid performer here for South Carolina.
Jump with the contact. Shot clock is down to 7. It gets us to the media timeout. Dawn Staley.
To their scouting report, and most importantly, has not allowed South Carolina to get to the offensive glass repeatedly.
Olivia Thompson comes in out of the timeout and could knock down a 3. She knocked down a three-pointer when that bench played so well in the first half to bring South Carolina back. So Dawn Staley going to Thompson again with the game on the line here in the fourth. 4.5 to go. Stanford is 0 for 8 from the field here. Make it 0 for 9 in the fourth quarter.
And again, the physicality amongst the posts.
Gamecocks keep getting stops. Can they get points on the other end is the question. They'll go to the free throw line to try to find the points with Cook. We showed you how Stanford, as a number 2 ranked team, hasn't had success against the number 1, but they have knocked off the number 1, and it's been here in this building. The last 3 times the number 1 team has played here, it's been a Stanford win. They did it against UConn in 2014. That ended UConn's 47-game winning streak. They did it against the Huskies in 2010. They did it against Tennessee in 2007.
You see Zia Cook at the free throw line. She's had some struggles in this game, gotten her shot blocked as she's driven right, but this is a senior with experience in big moments. What's it going to look like for her the last 4 minutes?
1 possession game right now. Brink, tough shot, and Boston gets called. Or is it going to be a me here? I think it's a me here.
Third personal, number 15, Letitia Meeher.
It is a me here. Boston was there, and the crowd here, the sellout crowd, 7,000 plus at Maples, thought it was number 4 on Boston, but instead it's the foul on a me here. That's her third, and here is Brink at the free throw line.
Eric, how about that graphic? 0 offensive rebounds in the second half for South Carolina, 6 for Stanford. And every team goes into a game against South Carolina saying, you know, we got to protect the glass. You just can't.
You don't win the glass against South Carolina, especially the offensive glass. They rebound 45% of their missed field goal attempts a year ago.
Stanford has the size to compete inside. Not many teams do.
South Carolina on the drive. Cook, no. Brink, make sure it's one and done again for South Carolina. And Jones will slow things down. Lopolo back on the floor, but Jones with the ball in her hands right now. Jump. Back to Jones. Jones, she's had that shot go a couple of times today, not this time.
And you see how important Haley Jones is on the offensive end of the floor, because for Stanford offensively, it's turned into high ball screen, get the ball into Haley Jones' hands and have her try to do something, because South Carolina's defense has been able to get out and pressure.
That's going to be the third personal foul on Haley Jones, and Tara Vanderveer will take a timeout. South Carolina defense in the fourth quarter. The Cardinal 0 for 10 from the field.
South Carolina is just extending their defensive pressure in the quarter court. And like I said, it's prevented Stanford from moving the ball side to side, so they've turned into a middle ball screen team with Haley Jones and Cameron Brink.
Bree Hall for three. Amihir with the putback.
And there it is. There is the offensive board. There is what makes South Carolina so dangerous.
Ball getting extended run here for Dawn Staley, defending the polo, and a foul is called on Boston. That will be number 4 on Aaliyah Boston.
Really well designed play. A 1-4 set. You clear out the right wing so that Cameron Brink can drive on a player who's in foul trouble.
So it looks like Aaliyah Boston's going to check out with 2:44 to go, and Victoria Saxton will come into the game.
Cameron Brink has had some struggles at the free throw line throughout her career, and this season 62% a season ago, 57% this year.
Now, there was a hesitation there. Was there a chance that because they were so close on that foul earlier that maybe there was a thought that Boston had 4 and that was her 5th, and that's why they were at the score sheet? Because Saxton went back to the bench and Aaliyah Boston stays out there. Remember, that foul was called on Amihir when Boston was in the area, and the original thought was maybe that was on Boston, but that is 4 on Aaliyah Boston. She stays on the court. Stanford back on top by 3, inside of 3 to go.
That's exactly what happened. They thought Aaliyah had fouled out of that game, and the official was good to go to the scorebook. Make sure there were only 4 on Aaliyah. She stayed in.
Stanford gets the stop. Here's Jones.
Mouse in the house. You got to get the ball into Cameron Brink when she has position like that inside.
Can Lopolo find her? She's looking. She finds her. Brink rewards her. And 1.
I absolutely love what I'm seeing from Cameron Brink today. And not only the scores and the blocks, but she was demanding the basketball the last possession. She was open and didn't get it. Not only calling for it with her hands, she's screaming at her teammates. And then she reposts and eventually gets the ball inside. This is a player who is maturing.
Her folks calm for the moment. And here's that finish.
You don't get it the first time. Sometimes players stop or let up. No, she reposted, demanded the basketball, and got the and 1 opportunity.
Ooh, beautiful spin by Aaliyah Boston for 2.
And she's just so special. You just cannot defend her one-on-one that close to bucket.
And Brink has fouled out. Setting the screen. She gets called for her 5th.
Your guard has to wait for you to get set before they use the screen.
It's not on Brink. It's on Lopolo. My apologies. Lopolo is the one who got called for the foul.
Well, good, because if it's the guard's fault, they should get the foul.
Spoken like once a big, always a big.
That's right. We don't shrink.
Corner, wide open 3. Was halfway down. Boston fights on the glass, can't get it. Still fighting on the glass. Thompson back out there for 3, no. South Carolina with another chance inside of 90 seconds to go.
You don't necessarily need to take the threes. You just need to use those players as spacers.
Cook, Boston's got good touch. Not this time. Prechtel's got the rebound. Did they get 2-3 happy on that trip down by just 4?
Probably.
Final minute here at Sold Out Maples. Into the hands of the All-American. Jones. You know she wants it in her hands. Finds Brink. Can she do it again? Not this time. Prechtel fought off by Boston.
You got to go. South Carolina's got to go.
Dawn Staley's upset. She wanted a timeout, but she wanted it before the ball was put on the floor so they could advance it to the half court, and she did not get the timeout. Very loud building.
Penetration to the basket, and then you can play the foul game or try to exert some full court pressure, but I would look here for South Carolina to attack the basket. High ball screen, Zia Cook.
For Boston. Now to Cook.
You need to go, though. You need to go.
Bree Beal will try a 3 and make it. Big 3 by Bree Beal, and a timeout called right away by Dawn Staley.
Dawn Staley found, and then if they don't, get a quick trap or quick deflection. If not, then you foul.
So Prechtel gets it in front of the Stanford bench.
Got
into Jones. Time. Foul by Beal. Both teams shooting 2 free throws rest of the way, and it'll be Haley Jones at the line. Her shooting numbers have not been great in the early going this season as Stanford has tried to find the right combination, losing key players like Lacey Hull, Lexi Hull, Anna Wilson. Haley Jones's role, as you said, she plays so many different positions, but her shot hasn't been there. She hasn't been in rhythm, but is this the time where she finds the rhythm from the free throw line? Doesn't make the first.
Dawn Staley can time out in advance, or she can choose to let her team go.
She will take the timeout and advance it to the front court. Needing 2 to 10. South Carolina's out of timeout, so they have to get it in. They find Boston. Defended by Prechtel. Backs her in. Spins. The double comes from Brink. Knocked out of bounds with 6 seconds to go. It is still South Carolina ball.
Direct entry into Aaliyah Boston. It's what we expected, and then she went to work. But how about Prechtel and Brink? They have given Boston trouble all game long with their length. Dawn Staley out of timeouts.
Cook will trigger the inbound.
Look for a lob over the top to Cardoso or Boston here.
Cardoso just checked into the game. That's where they look. They find Boston. Boston, an open look. Gets it to go. 2.1 to go. Tie game here at Stanford. Jones will put it into play. Looks for the lob to Brink, batted away, and we will go to overtime here at Stanford.
Block-to-block screen, trying to get Cameron Brink the ball. The pass was just too low.
Here out there to start the overtime period. She'll jump center against Cameron Brink. Brink wins the jump. Bree Hall out there for the OT as well. Dawn Staley riding with her. She's been good. Off the bench, Brink is fouled by Amihir.
Amihir has been battling. She's been drawing the defensive assignment on Brink because Aaliyah Boston has 4. Well, now Amihir has 4.
Cameron Brink on the line, shooting 2.
Well, Brink will go to the free throw line. Shoot a couple here for the Cardinal. Brink now with 22. Her career high is 26. Brink's done well. She picked up her 4th foul with 9:12 to go in the 4th quarter. Cook, tough shot, won't drop. Rebound, Haley Jones.
Cook, the most experienced guard for South Carolina, the one tasked with running the point here in the overtime.
That inside to Brink for two.
Better pass. Better pass. Cameron Brink, 6'5", with long arms. Throw it up where only she can get it.
Hall for three. Clutch shot from Bree Hall, the sophomore, delivers from outside the arc. She's got 9. Brink will try a 3. Easy rebound for Boston, and now South Carolina could go in front for the first time since the first quarter. Cook denied by Brink.
How many times has Zaya Cook driven to that right side, and how many times has she gotten her shot sent back? Both Prechtel and Brink have been terrific protecting the paint with their block shots.
Great point, Rebecca. 10 blocks as a team, 4 for Brink, 5 for Prechtel here this afternoon. Boston. Skip it over to Beal. Now Ami here. Remember, Brink playing with 4 fouls. Jones comes to help her out. Who's the foul on? Brink and Jones were there. And that's going to be the 5th on Cameron Brink.
The fans are really frustrated because the whistle was late. Cameron Brink in that situation, don't even give the officials the opportunity to make this call. Just stand straight up. Stand with your arms straight up. Don't bring them down. Her hand was kind of down on the ball, and Ami here does a good job. You see it in the NBA a lot from guards, right? Bringing her arms up so that she gets the foul called.
Good play by Ami here. We talked about her international experience. A senior comes off the bench, but she has had a lead role. And Ami here with 1 and a second, and South Carolina leads in overtime. Brink to the bench with the 5 personal fouls, 25 points, 5 rebounds for Cameron Brink.
And with Brink on the bench, you're going to get a heavy dose of Haley Jones on the offensive end of the floor. She's the one player who can create.
Looks for Iriafen, spinning inside. No, the follow-up, yes. Overtime here at Stanford. Number 1, South Carolina. They've won 15 games in a row against ranked opponents, thanks in large part to the play by the All-American, Aaliyah Boston, who comes through again. 12 points now for Boston.
Overload the left side of the floor so the help can't get there quickly enough. Again, we say it all the time, one-on-one. You can't stop Boston there.
Rapolo gets help from Prechtel. Stanford back in front inside of 2 minutes to go in overtime. Boston on the drive. Aaliyah Boston for 2.
Defensive breakdowns. You've got to have a help side defender come there.
South Carolina back in front. 90 seconds to go in overtime. Stanford without their top scorer in this game. Cameron Brink scored 25. Things getting stuck on offense, and Tara Vanderveer, perhaps recognizing that, calls a timeout. They find Jones. Bree Beal shadowing her, getting the stop on defense. Great defense by Bree Beal.
Incredible defense by Brivio because you had Hannah jump in the right corner. Her defender cannot help off.
Cook. Back with the hands of Boston. Brechtel and Jones, double Boston. Bree Hall delivers the three for #1 South Carolina. Bree Hall with a career-high 12 points. She's made 2 3-pointers. Hannah Jump can't get the three. Iriafen before the basket was fouled. And she'll go to the line for 2. That's the 5th on Aaliyah Boston. She's done. Boston came through with 2.1 to go in regulation with the basket to force overtime. Now she heads to the bench with her 5th foul. 14 points, 13 rebounds, 7 of 13 shooting for the All-American.
Aaliyah Boston, an absolute monster in this game when she was on the floor, and especially late in this game. And we need to revisit Bree Hall. She's been playing 9 minutes a game and has made a couple incredible threes that South Carolina desperately needed. First of all, a great pass by Boston out of the double team, and Hall steps into it confidently.
It's all about confidence, isn't it? Last year, as you mentioned, Bree Hall played on average 9 minutes a game, averaged 2 points a game. This is her 3rd game this season after she missed.
We have to inbound the ball cleanly. Stanford is going to be looking to get a steal or a deflection. They've got a little bit of time to try to trap before they foul.
Fran Beliebe on for Stanford. Here's Cook. She's trapped. Saxton got across half court in time, and now Beliebe gives the foul to Victoria Saxton. Saxton entered the game 9 of 10 from the free throw line this season. These will be her first free throw attempts tonight.
And anytime South Carolina is shooting a free throw, your #1 objective is to box out on the free throw line because they can get offensive boards there.
With that in mind, Stanford will bring Brechtel in. So she and Iriafen on the floor. Here's Haley Jones back into the game. Saxton at the line to shoot a couple.
Stanford with a timeout so they can advance the basketball if they choose.
Great job by Ami here, who hopped up, kept it alive in the possession arrow, pointing to South Carolina. Letitia Ami here on the glass.
We've seen it over and over again the last couple of years. On the free throw line, often it's Aaliyah Boston. This time it's Ami here. Potentially saving this game by getting an offensive board on your own team's free throw. Incredible.
Remember, we talked about how the advantage was for Stanford on the offensive glass. After that rebound advantage to South Carolina, they're +1 in offensive rebounds. Now they're 14th, and it comes at a critical time. That's tapped out of bounds. 21.4 to go in overtime.
That's a tough place to inbound from, that deep baseline corner.
Hall finds Cook.
Got a foul.
Instead, they go for the steal. Timeout called by Stanford. You have to wonder why wasn't Stanford fouling, but they had a steal in regulation. The door is open for Stanford to go for 2 to tie it. They don't need the 3.
Yes. Look for Haley Jones potentially to get it back after she inbounds the ball.
Just got to get it in, though. They're out of timeouts. And a 5-second call. Turnover, Stanford.
Wow. Well, here you're going to go for the immediate steal if you're Stanford defensively, and then presumably foul.
There was still a little discussion as to what the call was, and now Stanford realizing, and Haley Jones to the bench after the turnover. They'll make substitutions, and they have to look for the quick foul here. 10 seconds to go. South Carolina out of timeouts.
Got a foul.
They don't. Beal across half court, and there finally is the foul with 5.6 to go.
Especially because Stanford's out of timeouts, so you can't advance the ball. The clock. The clock is important. You have to foul right away.
I will say this. I think Zia Cook and Dawn Staley, they believed that Zia Cook was fouled. It just wasn't called because they wanted to get in the hands of one of their best shooters. Well, Cook was 11 of 14 for the free throw line.
You can't leave any question defensively.
Correct.
You got to foul so that the officials blow the whistle. Credit. South Carolina, though, you're taking the time off the clock.
Took 4.4 off. So here is Bree Beal at the free throw line.
So what am I going to say is the number one thing for Stanford here?
Box out.
Box out, and you got to go. You can go full court dribbling in this amount of time.
No timeouts left. Gary Offit has it, and she called a timeout, but they're out of timeouts. They're out of timeouts. That's talked about in the huddle before you go out. No timeouts is yelled over and over again. Here's the big one from Cook. It's a three-point game right now. Zia Cook comes through in the clutch for number one South Carolina.
Oh, free throws and the basketball.
After the technical, it's South Carolina basketball. And finally, the foul given with 1 second to go. And number one South Carolina is going to hold on. And Dawn Staley's team will knock off another ranked opponent. That will be 16 wins in a row against ranked teams. It's a work in progress in November, certainly. And that's what Stanford has to be thinking. There are things to work on, things to discuss, things to learn from this loss.
Yes, and the experience of South Carolina in these moments shown through.
Absolutely. Zia Cook held in check in the first half, comes through at the end. And in the end, it's a familiar story. Number one South Carolina knocks off number two Stanford. The game